I think content is an interesting space from that regard because you look at this conference and there's 4,000 people here, and that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the companies and the people that are making content marketing a core part of what they do. I mean, CEB now says that in the average B2B company spends 45% of their budget on content marketing, and 84% of those companies intend to increase that investment moving forward. Unfortunately, most of those companies are using that just to create more crappy blog posts, right? And so there is less differentiation in the market as the market is flooded with content, which makes the opportunity greater for brands and for organizations and individuals who truly focus on creating great content. Now, you can be agile and be speedy and quick on a lot of different things to try things. Like if you want to do a podcast, you can get started right now by pressing record on your iPhone, right? Yeah. You might have good content, but that is going to pale in comparison from a quality standpoint to what we're doing here, which is, I covet this setup. I've got
you can borrow.
Oh my gosh, I've got a Yeti Blue, and I feel really good about what we do for our fledgling little podcast. But this is awesome. I feel like I'm in a radio studio. But and you've got the full board here. I mean, the quality of what comes out of this is night and day from what you can get on an iPhone, right? So you can start agile, but then you make an investment in saying, I'm going to do this. This is going to be a core part of what I do. There's a system with which you're doing this. I mean, you've got these interviews lined up. You've got your notes. I mean, you've got the whole process set up, and this stuff just doesn't happen.
No, what's awesome about it is I went and spoke with people who were in the news industry, who were on radio, who were in newspaper. And I said, how did you guys do it? Right? Because I've tried a video and it's hard. What did you do at the news studio? Yeah. And they will tell you, and you can embrace what someone else has already done. Yeah. And nothing is new under the sun, especially, like these mics. Finding the best mic, YouTube it, figure it out. There's somebody talking about it.
But there's still an enormous barrier for most people to actually do this, right? I mean, it's one thing to say, yeah, I know I should do a podcast. And, I think a lot of people say, well, what am I going to talk about? How am I going to record it? How am I going to publish it? Yeah, you got to figure that out, right? And then you're going to stumble as you do that, and things aren't going to work the way you want. And then you do spend money on this type of equipment. And so I think a lot of people look at those as barriers, and then they get distracted by their email and they move off to something else. So, I go back to that word I used earlier of discipline. Being disciplined about knowing what you want to achieve, what's the best way to get there, and knowing even if it's going to take a fairly strong lean in on your part from a time, from a budget, from a resource standpoint, if you're going to do it right. Joe talked about that this morning. He said enough of the half-assed content, right? Either go all in or don't do it. And I think that, it's an awful lot of people that are in that middle ground that just sound and look like everyone else and are not having an impact.